You never know, he might as well get to come up because he's one of us.
The craziest thing about having your hand crushed is that the pair of eyes across from yours never stop smiling as knuckles are compressed, as the skin is all but torn off the top of your hand. He always has this stupid grin on his face, even as the vein bulges from his neck. He smiles until you grudgingly mumble, "That's quite a handshake," and he releases. As a young man, I was taught that one's masculinity is tied directly to one's handshake. When meeting another man for the first time, no sin was more unforgivable than placing a limp fish in his hand, the dead husk of a greeting. Your grip must be firm, like the way you hold your briefcase when you walk to work, or the way you hold the handle while standing up on the bus. Some men, however, prefer a grip like a battle axe mid-swing, like ripping the head off an antelope by tugging on the antlers. Some men treat every handshake as a gladiator's death match, a test of strength, a test of will. And when I meet these men, as I often do, their tectonic plate handshakes never fail to illuminate my myriad inadequacies. Frozen there with purple fingertips, I'm reminded of the fact that I cannot stand the taste of beer, that cars confuse and frighten me, that when faced with a barbecue and a pair of tongs, I will overcook the meat every time these men attempt to squeeze the testosterone from my body. Maybe I'm just insecure. But studying his smirk more closely, I think maybe that would make two of us, because as he wrings the color from my fingers, I find myself wanting to ask him, do you ever feel trapped? In the mornings, when you're watching SportsCenter and happily downing that protein shake made from raw eggs, liquefied steak, and Axe body spray, do you ever crush the glass between your fingers by accident? Do you ever get tired of the voice in the back of your head, the one that sounds just like Dennis Leary, telling you to constantly reaffirm that you're a real man by catcalling women, eating enormous hamburgers, and squeezing shit really, really hard? How on earth do you pleasure yourself without castrating yourself? I find myself wanting to ask him, do you hold your wife's arm like this when you're angry with her? Is there a teddy bear somewhere in your history being ripped away from a pair of hands that just aren't strong enough? Do you remember the first time your father wouldn't let you hold his hand when you crossed the street? Do you remember the way he looked at you? Do you remember being handed your firstborn son and not knowing how to hold him? Do you remember squeezing his shoulders like this the first time he disappointed you? Do you remember what it was you were trying to hold on to? And I know that there is so much space between us as men that sometimes we feel compelled to cram as much contact as we physically can into every touch. I know we've become so comfortable with crushing, so hypnotized by our own strength, we forget how incredible it can feel to let go.